Srimad Bhagavatam, 10th Canto, Chapter 8. Lord Krishna shows the universal form. Text 36, and we'll also read 37 to 39. Yadevam tarhi vyadehi Chukta sa Bhagavan Hari Vyadaktavya hataishvaya Krida manuja balaka Yadevam tarhi vyadehi Chukta sa Bhagavan Hari Vyadaktavya hataishvaya Krida manuja balaka Yadevam tahi vyadehi Chukta sa Bhagavan Hari Vyadaktavya hataishvaya Krida manuja balaka Vaishnavis, Yadi, if Evam, it is so. Tarhi, then. Vyadehi, open your mouth wide. I want to see. Itiukta, in this way, ordered by Mother Yashoda. Sa, he, Bhagavan, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Hari, the Supreme Lord. Vyadata, opened his mouth. Avyahata Aishvarya, without minimizing any potencies of absolute opulence. Aishvaryasya samagrasya. Krida, pastimes. Manuja balaka, exactly like the child of a human being. Translation. Mother Yashoda challenged Krishna. If you have not eaten earth, then open your mouth wide. When challenged by his mother in this way, Krishna, the son of Nanda Maharaj and Yashoda, to exhibit pastimes like a human child, opened his mouth. Although the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, who is full of all opulences, did not disturb his mother's parental affection, his opulence was automatically displayed. For Krishna's opulence is never lost at any stage, but is manifest at the proper time. Purport. without disturbing the ecstasy of his mother's affection. Krishna opened his mouth and displayed his own natural opulences. When a person is given varieties of food, there may be 101 varieties, but if one likes ordinary shak, spinach, he prefers to eat this. Similarly, although Krishna was full of opulences, now, by the order of Mother Yashoda, he opened wide his mouth like a human child, and did not neglect the transcendental humor of maternal affection. We'll also read the other verses, but first let us begin with what we have here. Translation again. Mother Yashoda challenged Krishna, "If you have not eaten earth, then open your mouth wide." When challenged by his mother in this way, Krishna, the son of Nanda Maharaj and Yashoda, to exhibit pastimes like a human child, opened his mouth. Although the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, who is full of all opulences, did not disturb his mother's parental affection, his opulence was automatically displayed. For Krishna's opulence is never lost at any stage, but is manifest at the proper time. Om Gana Timirandasya Gananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmalitang Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Sivasari Gaur Bhaktavrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Hare. You are in the midst of a Braja Lila in which the truth is foggy and hard to ascertain. The issue is, did Krishna eat dirt or not? And is this really important? In material existence, people claim to simply want the facts. Just give me the facts. Leave everything else away. But because this is a material world, even that conception of what is true is fading fast. You may remember from the first canto about the conversation between Dharma, the bull, Dharma personified, and Parikshit Maharaj. And Dharma pointed out in his discussion, it came up in the discussion, how the last leg of Dharma remains while all the others are gone, the three others are gone. The last leg is hobbled and also under attack. Truthfulness. How much is truth valued today, even in the relative sense? Here in Vrindavan, you see a different kind of wobbliness in truth. Perfect wobbliness. Perfect fogginess. Because this is Lila. And Krishna, whatever he does, is the supreme truth. Even if he steals, even if he lies. And it's not clear from the Acharya's commentaries, it's not clear from Srila Prabhupada's commentaries, whether or not Krishna actually ate dirt. Did you know that? Our material intelligence focuses on what we think is important. Did he eat the dirt or did he not? But we're dealing with Lila, and it's rasa that's important. Krishna's exchanging of love is the most important thing. So you have to go back to chapter 7 at the end, where Krishna already gave a short demonstration to Mother Yashoda. You see, Krishna wanted her to chastise him. He couldn't bring this about in his other childhood activities of sneaking into houses and stealing butter and yogurt and passing stool and urine in the places of worship, in the houses in Braj. Of course, the acharyas point out that the Supreme Personality of Godhead has no stool or urine, in case you're concerned about that. He left illusory stool and urine. Keep that in mind. So, his methodology in stealing milk products is very important. How he would sometimes stand on the back of the neck of one cowherd boy who's crouched down, and then climb on the shoulders of yet another cowherd boy, and in this way he would reach with a long stick the pots of yogurt hanging from the ceiling, and with that pointed long stick he would poke a hole in the bottom of the pot so expertly that the pot wouldn't shatter. The elder gopis and gopas were always wondering they were wondering, how does he do it? He's able to put a small hole in the bottom of the pot, and the stream of yogurt comes down, and then he and his friends are waiting with open mouths. So this methodology of crime is very important. And the elder gopis were always talking about this. And they felt that Mother Yashoda needs to hear this. She's not getting the full nectar. We've got to go tell her what her child is up to. Mother Yashoda, as Prabhupada says, was always merged in the equilibrium of anxiety. Now, who likes anxiety? But everything in the spiritual world is Satchidananda. So the anxiety gives unlimited bliss. Anything gives unlimited bliss because it's all in relation to Krishna. And everything about Krishna is the truth. His existence is truth. His knowledge is truth. His pleasure is truth. So even when he steals, and now we're going to find out, he may be lying, maybe not, even that is the supreme absolute truth. So Krishna and Balaram would crawl through Vrindavan. The ground is muddy from cow urine, cow dung. Sometimes they would even go into the special pens, the special area where calves were kept, and play there and become covered from head to toe in cow dung. And then they would go home. They're doing all these things, pulling the hair of the gopis, pulling the braid, pulling the sari, proposing marriage. All these activities, as Srila Prabhupada points out, were invented to please the residents of Vrindavan. And they would report to Mother Yashoda. They would accuse, he's a thief. Sometimes they would accuse Krishna directly when they caught him in their house. You're a thief. He said, I'm not a thief, you are a thief. He plundered the milk products as if he had nothing at home. So the gopis complained to Mother Yashoda that we can't give him milk products. He doesn't want, when it's given to him, he likes to steal it. This is your Supreme Personality of Godhead. So they would lodge these complaints with Mother Yashoda, and she would look at the face of little Krishna, and he's looking so innocent. Everyone would look at his face and be disarmed. But Krishna is thinking, I want to be chastised. I want to enjoy that. So he, when being fed by his mother, she had picked him up and put him on her lap to feed him. And while the milk is pouring into Krishna's mouth, she's observing, there are 5 or 6 teeth that are there. This is all Vatsalya Prem. And you see, of course, the reflection of that in the material world. She's so happy staring into Krishna's face as he's being fed. Krishna yawns. Why does he yawn? The acharyas point out his mother is so affectionate that this produces a yawn in him, and then his opulences, his Aishvarya Shakti, decides this is the moment to show Mother Yashoda how Krishna is everything, how he's perfect and complete. It's one thing to hear that Krishna is complete. It's another thing for him to demonstrate it. So she's looking into his mouth, examining the little teeth she's been feeding him. Krishna yawns, and Mother Yasoda sees the whole universe in his belly. She becomes fearful. Oh no, what's happened to my little boy? Is another danger about to come upon him? When this pastime happened in relation to Trinavata is not clear. You see, Bhagavatam does not specialize in chronology. That's a Western fetish, or that's a Western preoccupation. Well, there's step 1, right? And then there's step 2, there's step 3. What are the dates? We want to memorize the dates. Maybe in your educational process, you had to learn dates for whatever. I don't know, India's independence, or the U.S. so-called independence, or this, that, the other. You can't do that with Bhagavatam because it's a work of ecstasy. So sometimes Shukadev Goswami scrambles the order of the Lilas. Not because of material mistake, but he's just lost in the topmost ecstasy. And furthermore, the acharyas point out, Krishna is independent of time. What's more, in Krishna's childhood phase, he shows characteristics of his youthfulness, and in his youthfulness, he shows characteristics of his childhood. So in this way, how do you deal with someone who's beyond time and space? Just like the various phases of Krishna's Lila. You might think, well, he's a child in the Balya stage, and then that goes to the Poganda stage, and then Kishore, the teenage stage. So we're thinking like what would happen to us, right? Childhood body is gone, boyhood body is gone, teenage body, okay, Krishna's teenage body is eternal. That's not the way it works, Rupa Goswami explains. What actually happens is that his childhood body disappears into his boyhood body, but it's still there. And his boyhood body disappears into his teenage body, but the previous bodies are still there. So then you don't see it, but it's there. And what happens? When the childhood body, for example, disappears into the boyhood body, the childhood body simultaneously appears in the universe, in the next universe, because Krishna's Leelas are eternal. So number 1, the childhood body appears in the next universe. And number 2, the childhood body appears in Krishna's unmanifest Leela. And number 3, the childhood body will appear again in this universe in the next day of Lord Brahma. So it's all going on. So this is the supreme absolute truth. Krishna wanted his mother to chastise him. She wouldn't do it. So now he's decided he's going to eat dirt. Did he actually eat dirt? The cowherd boys and Balaram accused him of doing that. Why did they do that? You know, amongst little kids, it's not considered good that they turn in their playmate, you know. But Mother Yashoda had ordered Balaram and the cowherd boys, keep an eye on Krishna and report. If he does anything injurious, you tell me. So they did that. They spoke to Mother Yashoda that he's eaten dirt. And Krishna replied, because naturally Mother Yashoda, when she heard this, transcendental anger came upon her. Not the kind of anger we're accustomed to, but anger like, oh, what's wrong with my house? What's wrong with the sweets in my house? Why is he doing this? So she's approaching Krishna. And remember, Krishna is hoping that she's going to chastise me. At the same time, Krishna is going to display fearfulness. This is all about nourishing the Vatsalya Prem, nourishing the Lila. And how does he do that? He's going to nourish that Prem with a little taste of Adbhuta Rasa, a little taste of wonder. Krishna knows how to mix the flavors. He's the reservoir of all rasa. And he wants to demonstrate the unlimited depths of the love of Mother Yashoda. Immature devotees sometimes think that Krishna's pastimes with the gopis are simply what we should focus on and neglect Mother Yashoda. In fact, consider Mother Yashoda to be lower. I remember in Los Angeles, one devotee had the audacity to present this to Srila Prabhupada's face. That when we read Krishna book, we just want to hear about the gopi chapters. We don't want to hear about Mother Yashoda. Srila Prabhupada exploded. You are jumping like a monkey to the highest branch. But isn't it that the gopis are the highest? Yes, but you are the lowest. This doesn't mean we shouldn't hear about the gopis, but this devotee had a completely materialistic conception. Lord Chaitanya is Matri Bhakta. He's the best devotee of his mother. That's why he was in Puri. He said, Puri and Navadvip are like two rooms of the same house. If I'm in Puri, my mother will always get information about me. And every year he would send Jagadananda Pandit to bring messages, Jagannath Prasad, to his mother. He instructed Jagadananda Pandit, go there to Navadvip, see my mother, touch her feet on my behalf. Bring her remnants of Jagannath. Particularly, one time there were the Gopavesh, the cowherd boy dress of Lord Jagannath. Bring those remnants to her. Bring her prasad from Jagannath. Tell her, in madness I took sannyas. I destroyed my religious principles. I destroyed dharma. I'm always her servant. I always go there whenever she offers food. I'm there to accept. You please tell her that. So Mahaprabhu is known as Matri Bhakta Shiromani, the crest jewel of all devotees of the mother. What we see in the material world is the reflection of what is there in the spiritual world. Even for understanding the love of a mother in this material world. Unless one's a mother, it's difficult to understand. I remember my mother telling me that. Did you know that when you were a little baby, you got very sick? And in order that you would get well, there was this radio preacher, one of these American Christian evangelists, you know. They weren't on TV by then, they were on the radio at that time. The preacher roared through the radio, "If there is anyone in your house who's sick, put your hand on the radio, and the healing power of the Holy Spirit will come through the radio, and that person will be healed." So my mother did it. I said, "Mother, you know, you're a smart lady. I mean, let's analyze this scientifically, please. Putting your hand on the radio and the healing energies come from the radio." She said, "You don't understand. You don't understand what it's like to be a mother." I didn't understand. Another time, this involves my middle brother. He was staying at home while going to the university because he rejected going to a prestige school, the family tradition. Instead, he wanted to go to a local university in his city to be with the people. He was a Marxist at the time. So he was 19. I was away from home at school. My mother didn't know what I was doing, but he was at home. One night, she wakes up at 4 a.m. And what do you think came to her mind? Room check. I'm going to check his room because I know he's got a girlfriend. I'm going to see if he came in at night or... So 4 a.m. she goes and checks his room. He's not there. She then proceeds to search his room for 1 hour to see if she can find his girlfriend's address. After 1 hour, she finds the address. And then she wakes up poor father and says, "It's time for a raid." The poor man has to drive at 5 a.m. in the morning. And they actually go to the address. Now, if you're from the USA, let me explain one detail. I was a complete New Yorker, but my mother had, after I left home, had moved to Detroit. So she's doing this in Detroit. 5 a.m. in the morning, driving to an unknown address to rescue her son from sin. So they drive up to the house. She walks up to the door alone. Boom, 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 boom. After a while, the girl comes to the door, you know, with a bathrobe on and... "Where's my son?" The girl disappears. After a while, you know, my brother comes to the door with the girl. My brother's, you know, putting on his, you know, getting his attire together. He's like, "Mother, what are you doing here? Get in the car!" And then as my brother's getting in the car, you know, this is all 5 a.m. in the morning, she tells the girl, "I want you to meet me for lunch tomorrow. We're going to have a discussion." So the girl actually shows up for lunch. And my mother just gives it to her straight. You've got to get right with the Lord. You've got to let Jesus in your heart. You've got to repent. Anyway, the girl left town the next week. The next girlfriend of my brother's, my mother adopted a different outreach strategy. She didn't check his room. She knew that they were cohabiting most of the time. So she waited until they got fully entangled. And then she told my brother, "You know, you're 20 years old, you're 21, you know, why don't you marry the girl?" My brother was shocked. "You mean you're not going to chastise me for cohabiting? You're saying we should marry?" Sure, marry her. So they married. So then my mother, with her new strategy, converts the girl to Christianity. And then the two of them jumped my brother. There was no match. So now he's like a official in his Christian church, and this is the power of a mother. And you see the unlimited perfection of that in the spiritual world. Mahaprabhu is the perfect devotee of his mother, and Krishna wants to nourish his mother's Vatsalya praying with some wonder. So who is lying? My dear mother, I've never eaten dirt. All my friends complaining against me are liars. If you think they're being truthful, you can directly look into my mouth and examine it. Mother Yasoda challenges Krishna. All right, if you haven't eaten earth, open your mouth wide. So what's going on here? The acharyas point out that it could be that Krishna had pretended to eat dirt. Or it could be that he actually had eaten some soft dirt. So it could be that his friends were lying unintentionally. It could be that the elder gopis who were backing up their cowherd boys were lying. And it could be that Krishna was lying. But the whole point is how Krishna can further increase his mother's love. The whole point is not the so-called fact of whether he ate dirt or not. And he, by nourishing her Vatsalya Prem with Adbhuta Ras, the Ras of wonder, he's not touching or disturbing her maternal affection. This is quite inconceivable. Because when, as you know, he opens his mouth upon her desire, she sees the whole universe. Now, how does that happen without her maternal affection being disturbed? Why are Krishna's opulences doing this? They're always there. Parasya Shaktir Vividaiva Shruyate. It's not that in Vrindavan his opulences disappear in Braj Lila, but they display themselves in such a way that the pure love is not disturbed. But sometimes there's wonder. Who is this boy? The cowherd boys would sometimes wonder that in later Leelas. In the Poganda phase, they would wonder, who is he? We've just seen what he did. He killed this demon, he killed that demon. They would think. They would start to philosophically speculate. Then they would conclude, we've got it. He's a demigod. And of course, you know what that means. If he's a demigod, so are we, because we're all equal. That's it, we're all demigods. After Krishna lifted Govardhan Hill, there was another identity crisis discussion. Did you see that? He held Govardhan Hill for 7 days, like an elephant holds a lotus flower. Now, while Krishna was holding Govardhan Hill, there was no philosophical analysis. Everyone was just overwhelmed by the sweetness. But once the hill was put back into place, then the discussion started. Well, who is he? We've seen Trinavarta, Putana, Bakasura, the cart demon. We've seen all these things. And then, again they repeated, and he lifted Govardhan Hill. Who is he? They approached Nanda Maharaj. Nanda Maharaj replied with what he heard from Gargarishi. Remember, Gargarishi in the Namakarana ceremony, in the name-giving ceremony, said this boy would be like Narayan. Nanda Maharaj tweaked what Garga Rishi said in order so that the cowherd men would not reduce their affection. Even Garga Rishi, the acharyas point out, tweaked his whole presentation in describing Krishna, who he is. He has done this in previous ages, he has done that. But he tweaked it just a bit in his presentation of information so that the cowherd boys and men, especially the men, they would always be affectionate to Krishna. So Garga Rishi concluded, take care of this boy. And that's what the cowherd men focus on. Oh, take care of the boy. Yes. So Nanda Maharaj made the same presentation, tweaking it a bit further. He's like Narayan. Meaning, not that he is Narayan, but Narayan has invested in him some special potencies, and therefore sometimes you see him do extraordinary things. He's like Narayan. But do not give up your affection for him. This boy, Nanda Maharaj referred to Krishna as, not my son, because he wanted the cowherd men to all identify in paternal rasa for Krishna. This boy, our boy, should be watched over. He should be taken care of. So throughout Braj Lila, you sometimes see this identity crisis in terms of Krishna creep in. Who is he? Mother Yashoda is now going to see the opulences of Krishna coming to the fore. But they come to the fore in such a way that they actually become the servant of her prema. Even the Madhurya Bhaktas touch their head to the feet of Mother Yashoda. In no way should we ever think that she is inferior in the material sense. So, in text 37 to 39, when Krishna opened his mouth wide by the order of Mother Yashoda, she saw within his mouth all moving and non-moving entities, outer space in all directions, along with mountains, islands, oceans, the surface of the earth, the blowing wind, fire, the moon, and the stars. She saw the planetary systems, water, light, air, sky, and creation by transformation of Ahankara. She also saw the senses, the mind, sense perception, and the three qualities, goodness, passion, and ignorance. She saw the time allotted for living entities. She saw natural instinct and the reactions of karma. And she saw desires and different varieties of bodies, moving and non-moving. Seeing all these aspects of the cosmic manifestation, along with herself and Vrindavan Dham, she became doubtful and fearful of her son's nature. Purport. All the cosmic manifestations that exist on the gross and subtle elements, as well as the means of their agitation, the three gunas, the living entity, creation, maintenance, annihilation, and everything going on in the external energy of the Lord, all this comes from the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Govinda. Everything is within the control of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This is also confirmed in Bhagavad Gita. Maya jakshena prakriti suyate sa chacharam. Everything in the material nature, prakriti, works under his control. Because all these manifestations come from Govinda, they could all be visible within the mouth of Govinda. Quite astonishingly, Mother Yashoda was afraid because of intense maternal affection. She could not believe that within the mouth of her son, such things would appear. Yet she saw them, and therefore she was struck with fear and wonder. So again, Krishna is doing this to nourish her Vatsalya Prem. He's also doing it to avoid being punished. He's distracting her. So she'll forget all about chastising him for eating dirt. Now, another angle the acharyas present is that he opened his mouth because he was confident that, well, if he did eat dirt, it had all disappeared from his mouth by the time Mother Yashoda would see it. So therefore, he was telling the truth. I haven't eaten dirt. It's all gone. Or he actually just pretended to eat dirt. So you're saying, what is what? Did he do it? Did he not? We just want the facts. But even on the material plane, in today's contemporary world, who knows what the facts are? You have alternative facts. You have the impossibility of trying to understand what is what. Crafty leaders throughout the world understand that actually the people don't want facts. The people want their fear and anger to be appeased. So if you want to be a fascist leader, here's how you do it. Don't worry about facts. Wherever in the world you are, don't worry about facts. You give the people a narrative that explains why you're feeling rejected, neglected, and forgotten, why you're feeling that other groups have surpassed you. Listen to this story. And the story will also tell you how you can feel redeemed, how you can feel on top again. This is what you want to hear. You don't want to hear facts. Take the USA, for example. One top White House official told the media that, you fools, you live in a reality-based community. That's not how the world works. You think it's so important to have the facts to deal with reality, but we are an empire. We create reality. And while you journalists are studying the reality that we've created and doing it so carefully, you're studying that reality that we've created so carefully. While you're doing that, we act again and create yet another reality, and you'll try to study that. This is how the world works. So once you, as a potential fascist leader, once you understand that the people don't really want the truth, they want to feel the body identification being magnified and strengthened. The in-groups, the out-groups, our group, the other groups. So you play on that. Once you understand the people are not interested in truth, then you can proceed to deal with so-called reality. The old Nazi propaganda that the bigger the lie and the more often you tell it, the more people will believe it. If that lie satisfies their need for a story, why are we down and others are up? So you give them that kind of story, and then they trust you. So how can you do something about this? The material intellectual thinks we've just got to give people the facts. But what about their yearning for bodyism, the bodily concept of life? They want to feel tribal nationalism. We want the truth of identifying with those we share the same blood with, the same history, the same culture, the same language. Give us that kind of truth. Give us that, and we'll feel motivated. We'll feel happy. Psychological tests have been done that show, okay, you take a group of 4 to 6 year olds and you divide them in half. Half wear red shirts and half wear blue shirts. And then, without giving them any further information, you show them slides of both the red shirt people, the red shirt kids, and the blue shirt kids. And you make up stories, positive things about each group and negative things. The tests have shown that these 4 to 6-year-olds will remember the positive things that were said about their own shirt group and remember only the negative things about the other shirt group. Other tests with functional MRI scans claim to show that although you may speak in an egalitarian way, I'm open to all kinds of people, I'm friendly with everyone, when the conditioned soul, when the brain of the conditioned soul sees someone of his or her own bodily identification of whatever type, the brain lights up in a certain way as compared to others. Also, when during these scans, if you see some harm being done to an outgroup, then in spite of your words of brotherhood, sisterhood, and worldwide universalism, a part of the brain lights up indicating, I like this. You're happy to see the distress of those who you consider are not part of your group. So this leads materialists to conclude that biologically, this tribalism is hardwired into human beings. Evolutionary psychologists will trot this out, that back in the day, before humans evolved to the way they are now, they needed to band together in groups. And therefore, by evolution, this whole tribalism, nationalism developed as a means to advance the human species. So those types have a fancy term. They're called primordialists. That the bodily conception of life is hardwired into your biology, going way back through evolution. And then there are the instrumentalists. No, it goes on. By taking shelter of what is wrong, you can never be right. This is why Prabhupada would always thunder about bodyism, the bodily concept of life. When the foundation is wrong, there can be no genuine progress that proceeds based on that false foundation. Whether you're a religious person, this ism, that ism, Christian, Hindu, Muslim, this, whatever you want to call yourself, if you haven't dealt with the body and how you're different from it, there can be no progress. That may sound like a very strict standard, but just look and see. How can you solve the world's environmental, political, economic problems as long as everyone thinks we are the body? By taking shelter of illusion, there can be nothing but illusion. There can't be peace. There can't be lasting progress. There can't be stability. Sometimes we may even think that, hey, okay, so people think they're the body, so what? There still can be lasting economic expansion. We can still solve the environmental crisis. We can still have world peace. Even though everyone thinks they're the body, it'll work out somehow. No, because bodyism means passion ignorance, rajoguna, tamoguna. By taking shelter of those lower modes, all you get is the effect of those modes, bewilderment and distress. So we want to get to the bottom of the world's problems. And therefore, we still speak about how you are different from the body. There's no other solution to this global phenomenon of ethnic tribalism, political tribalism. As long as that goes on, you'll find confusion. And people even become proud of their body identification to the extent that you accuse others of cultural appropriation. Why are you wearing the attire or the symbols, or why are you practicing the traditions of our tribe? You have appropriated our cultural symbols. This is a great offense. In other words, not that you're trying to be universal, not that you're trying to appreciate all cultures. No, you have stolen our symbols. You have stolen our traditions. Or if you try to speak about what may be happening to another group, gender group, political group, ethnic group, you don't understand. You're not one of us. If you really want to understand, you have to hear from one of us. In this way, the confusion just deepens, the pride just deepens, the illusion just deepens. There is no solution to this on the bodily platform. You see right in the first verse of Bhagavad Gita, what did my sons, my group, my tribe, and the others do? Mamakam pandavas chaivam. Right there in verse number 1, tribalism. At this very crucial junction in world history, Krishna's devotees can do the greatest good by cleansing the world, cleansing the consciousness of this madness. Who else is speaking like this? Who else is going beyond pseudo-universalism? Look, whatever body type you have, whatever gender preference you have, let's just be together on the bodily platform and peace will come about. We don't talk like that. We say it's all crazy. It is all an illusion. You are not any of that. Who else is saying that? So people expect that peace is possible on the tribal platform. And the smartest persons will just concede, look, we're hardwired like that. That's the way it is. Sometimes it's said that sometimes politicians offer, we know that everyone wants freedom to be able to speak their mind, to assemble whenever they want in demonstrations. They want to have a government that's not corrupt. They want this. But it's more and more obvious. And political analysts are pointing out what the people really want is group identification. They want an in-group and an out-group. So here you are, back to just primitive savagery. What Srimad Bhagavatam is offering, what Bhagavad Gita is offering, and what this Mayapur project can offer, what the whole worldwide network of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness can offer, is the actual cleansing of all this madness. And no one is talking like this. It'll be very difficult to go to any church, mosque, synagogue, bless them all, but it'll be very difficult for you to walk in and get a clear understanding. You are not the body. So what? That's the religious world. What to speak of the scientific world? And here we are in Mayapur receiving information about the highest activities in the spiritual world. Krishna stealing, Krishna lying. But we can hear this and absorb it. We can understand it because it's coming through parampara. As Srila Prabhupada once said, without authoritative knowledge, there can be no advancement in society. Knowledge has to come from an authority. So we have discussed devotion to mothers. We've discussed how facts are not important in the spiritual world, and now we're seeing in the material world, facts are not important. Whether Krishna lied, did he actually eat dirt or did he not? We don't know. But his quality as Bhaktavatsal, exchanging affection with his devotees, is more prominent and more important than his truthfulness, his purity, which is all there, of course. But most important is exchanging affection with his devotees, and that's what he's doing with Mother Yashoda. Any questions? Yes, Badrinavar Maharaj? Yes.
You know, you're saying about artificial facts or alternative realities, and you talk about the fascists, just give them a good story. Well, you religionists, you're giving it, there's some man in the sky that's going to make it all good, and, I'm never going to die because I'm going to go to heaven. You're creating so many stories, just stories. Now, if you want facts, we've got science. I can go into a lab, I can measure it, I can replicate it. Now, that's a fact. So there are facts, but it's just not you religionists, and it's not the Trumpers, it's not, but we, the scientists, we have facts. Jai Maharaj, it's all yours.
You have the facts which any scientist will tell you change every 100 years. Furthermore, you say you can go into the laboratory, depending on which part of the world you're speaking in. Go in there, into the laboratory, and what are you bringing? You're bringing your consciousness. Please analyze your consciousness. What is it? Where does it come from? You have no idea. There's such a lack of understanding of what is consciousness that many of your ilk just say there's no such thing as consciousness, it's just an illusion. So it is because of your consciousness that allows you to be aware of everything, but you don't understand what is that phenomenon that allows you to be aware of everything. So therefore, what do you really understand? You're trapped. We take knowledge from authorities. You find us your equivalent of the authorities Bhagavatam is presenting. Krishna is the greatest authority. If you want to prove what Krishna is saying in Bhagavad Gita, you enter the Bhakti laboratory. Take up the Bhakti challenge, just like Mother Yashoda challenged Krishna. If you've not eaten earth, open your mouth wide. All right? You want to experience what Krishna is saying? Well, enter the Bhakti laboratory. Apply his instructions. What does he say in Bhagavad Gita? Asamsayam, samagram mam, yatha gyasasi, touch true. Just listen. I'll teach you the techniques by which you can apply your consciousness to me. You'll understand everything. Just adopt the techniques, you'll get the result. So this is our request. Just like Mother Yashoda is requesting Krishna. Open your mouth, we'll see. Enter the Bhakti laboratory, you'll see. Meanwhile, the brilliant brains of this world can continue life merrily caught between the twin pincers. On one side, you've got the threat of nuclear weaponry. On the other side, you've got the threat of climate change. Now, what are you going to do about it?
Commit suicide.
Anything else?
Hare Krishna. Just like we are looking for material solutions in the material world to solve our material problems. And we got deeper and deeper and deeper as we can see what has science done to us. The world is going worse and worse and worse. Simply have to look in Bhagavad Gita. There's one verse, since you talked about Bhagavad Gita, where Krishna gives us a formula how to solve even material problems. Machita Sava Durgani, if you direct your consciousness towards me, Mat Prasadam Nourishes, you will overcome all difficulties of material life by my grace. In this little sentence, the whole solution is given. Like we are suffering drought. And Bhagavad Gita says since 5,000 years there should be yagya. There's no yagya in this world, therefore there is climate, there are so many problems. And in fact, that the soul is not seen, Prabhupada wrote in Back to Godhead magazine, 1944, unless the soul is seen in all creatures, the dual frenzy between love and hate will go on forever and the world will never be able to find peace.
Yes.
Hare Krishna.
And by the way, we are not lumping all scientists into one bag. They're all evil. But those vociferous, those arrogant ones, which are not all of them, but the arrogant ones who claim that Bhagavatam is a myth and we are dealing with reality. We have a problem with those. So, echoing the Bhaktivedanta Institute, let me say that not all scientists suffer such an affliction. The problem is there are some very loudmouth ones who speak like that, and the public pays attention to them. So therefore, sometimes we do speak loudly while appreciating those scientists who are open to what they call the mystery of consciousness. We just don't know. We're open to those types. Anything else? Yes.
Maharaj, you were discussing the pastimes of Lord Krishna and Mother Yashoda. And the friends of Krishna, they didn't know who he was. They thought that, okay, he must be a demigod, so therefore we are demigods, right? You said that. I was wondering if there is awe and reverence, you know, in the pastimes of Krishna, does that mean there is godless society?
If there is awe and reverence in the pastimes, does that mean what?
Does that mean, if there is not awe and reverence, does that mean that there is godless society?
If there is not awe and reverence, does that mean there's a godless society? The awe and reverence in Krishna Lila sometimes manifests and then disappears. They're playing. It's like a toy. Oh, who is he? They play with that toy for a while and then, forget it. What's the use in thinking about this? He's our friend. Just like when Krishna lifted Govardhan Hill, there was that discussion. Who is he? No, he can't be God because we've seen he cries when he's hungry. He's sad when he doesn't get attention. He's thirsty. He chatters endlessly. No, he can't be God. But he lifted Govardhan Hill. And they go back and forth like this. So this is just like one of the amusements in Braj Lila in Vrindavan. Every once in a while they go to that. Who is he really? But you're asking about the material world. You're saying, without awe and reverence, you have a godless society. As I learned in my Bible study days, the fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom. That is correct, but it's not the end of wisdom. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much.
His Holiness Devamrita Swami Maharaj ki.